Okay, good evening, everyone. Um, We are going to go ahead and call the meeting of the City of Bloomington Township to order. If everyone could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Trustee Walsh.
Yes.
Trustee Bolin.
Here.
Trustee Motney.
Here.
Trustee Becker.
Here.
Trustee Urban.
Here.
Trustee Crable.
Here.
Trustee Crumpler.
Here.
Trustee Millewample.
Here. Sounds really weird when you're sniffling into the microphone. But I'm not sick, promise. Just allergies. We are going to move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda. as
Okay.
presented.
Motion by Trustee Bolin,
Second.
second by Trustee Becker. Madam Clerk?
All right, Trustee Walsh.
Yes.
Trustee Bolin. Trustee Motney.
Yes.
Trustee Becker.
Yes.
Trustee Urban.
Yes.
Trustee Ward. Oh, sorry. Trustee Crable.
Yes.
Trustee Crumpler.
Yes.
Trustee Millewample.
Yes. The next item on the agenda is an ordinance authorizing the creation and implementation of a housing eviction relief efforts here program for eligible residents of City of Bloomington Township. And I'm going to turn it over to Township Supervisor Skillroot to provide some brief remarks.
So the McLean County Housing Coalition has recognized several different issues in the community regarding housing crisis. And there are some gaps in services and barriers to, meeting the needs of rental assistance and some other ones. Township resonated especially with the one associated with rent, housing rent. What's been going on is that there's not much funds available for rent assistance now, especially to cover the arrears of, paying down what people owe. A lot of that comes from the COVID, kind of residual COVID and the inflation that we're in right now. So we decided to put together a new program called Here. Here is housing eviction relief efforts. We like acronyms at Township. So this program is utilizing the SERP funds that are really not being used right now. So moving those funds over into this program. And specifically, if you address it in your packet under the Here program, we're just working with evictions, housing evictions, rent assistance, or mortgage assistance, okay? But we find that a lot of people are more in the rent issues. Utility assistance, and then property tax and property insurance. We are seeing at Township rent assistance issues. We can meet only a certain amount with emergency assistance and even less if you're a general assistance client or participant or applicant, sorry. So this additional fund would be very similar to SERP. It allows a little bit of flexibility with who we can provide services to, and that's listed in your board packet. And I'll just repeat what they are. Anybody on fixed income, we're seeing a lot of SSI, SSA at low SSA income, and SSDI. Are you familiar with all of those terms? Would you like me to say those?
Sure.
Okay, supplemental security income, social security, and social security disability. Though the SSA and the SSDI are ones that are earned based on income that you've participated in work program. I mean, not work program. So that's earned income. That's what you would get in terms of a pension or disability. The SSI is for the very low income, and they're usually over 62, and there is a need. even with those individuals. So that fixed income is going to be, or this income from the HERE program is going to be available to anybody on a fixed income for age 62 or older. That is very low income. And class X or class 1 drug felony. Those are the ones that we can't serve through Township. These are specifically items that would immediately, we'd turn down if they came and approached us for rent assistance, and we're seeing a lot of it. So we're opening this up to them. This will be $3,000 combined. If they qualify for general assistance, emergency assistance, we would move them into this program. As long as other agencies aren't available for funding, right now there are none. That's the gap. And then when we reach 3,000, and that can be not a one time, it can even be over the course of the year if they come back with a different bill. So we're hoping to make some progress here in terms of helping individuals that are in this particular crisis, because what we're seeing, and forgive me if I'm talking too much, but evictions, if somebody were to get a current eviction, it's very difficult for them to be placed into another rental space because landlords don't want a current eviction stat. That's like a screening tool. If you've had an eviction, a current one, they're not going to necessarily bring you in. So that's kind of the need that we're seeing here. So we have maximum on this that we think we can spend by the end of this fiscal year, and then we can readdress it with a new budget if we're seeing that the need will still be there, which I'm presuming it will, because it's going to be a couple of years before everybody can get this worked out. Anyway, we put 200,000 of the SERP monies away from SERP and into this program if you approve it. So, and that would start immediately.
Okay.
Any questions?
Thank you. Questions? Trustee Ward?
Yeah, could you clarify again? It's 200,000, not 50,000 that?
No, it's well, we had in the budget 250,000. Realistically, I don't think we'll use all 250, so we put it at 200. We can address that as if.
Okay, then I misread. I was thinking you were only using 50,000.
Oh, no, 200,000.
Thank you.
And that's only because we're, more than halfway through the fiscal year. So.
No, I was going to propose that we use more than
Yeah.
50,000.
Mhm.
so
Right.
Thank you.
And if there needs to be more, we can address
Yeah.
that at the time, but the fiscal year is going to be ending March 31st. So.
That's how I understood it too. Actually, I thought it was 50.
Okay, then
Yeah.
I'm not.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
crazy.
that's
I
how
hope-
read it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Trustee Crable.
Thank you. And Deb, will this be publicized, or do you expect just to use it based on the normal application for trustee?
No, we will
Start
publicize
debate.
it. We already, I've kind of already talked to the Housing Coalition, and there's a lot of people in that, and we'll make it known.
Will you be participating in some way in the eviction clinics that Prairie State
I've already
has?
spoken to Aaron Duncan from the Housing Coalition, who's part of Prairie State Legal. So we will be working with them.
And how quickly will this have to run through the normal, process? How quickly could these funds be dispersed? Because somebody gets a 5-day late notice, right? And then if the rent isn't met, then you have an eviction filed, and then they're going to have to, because this isn't going to pay attorney fees or court costs, and then they'll have to pay those if these funds aren't dispersed quickly enough.
These funds can be dispersed as the same as we use for the General Assistance Emergency Assistance Program, because what we would be doing, just like we did with SERP, is we vet them through General Assistance Emergency Assistance, which is the General Assistance Fund. If they do not qualify, many of those would not qualify immediately, we would put them right into this program. They do, however, it's up to the applicant how soon you get your paperwork in. And, it needs to be the completed process of paperwork that we need to prove income, assets, and residency. So, because it's only for a City of Bloomington Township residents.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. Seeing no other questions, is there a motion to approve?
Could I just get one more?
sure.
clarification. I'm looking at the page, which page is it?
It would be part of the,
Page 2. And it says FY, the second paragraph there on page 2 says FY 2023 budget has shown a budgeted amount of $250,000 in our general town fund earmarked for SERB.
Mhm.
Through the amended budget, Township is reducing the budgeted amount to 200,000 and moving it to line item, community agency funding grant. Okay, so the whole 200,000 is what's moving to the.
Correct.
All right,
And the SERP program was under that community agency funding, so it's just a line item move. We have the line item designated as grants 1. So we're just moving it in the same category. Okay. Anything else?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay. Thank you. Motion by trustee Boland and second by trustee Craybill. Madam Clerk?
Trustee Walsh,
Yes.
trustee Boland,
Yes.
trustee Matney,
Yes.
trustee Becker,
Yes.
trustee Urban, trustee Ward,
aye.
trustee Crable,
Yes, yes.
trustee Crumpler,
Yes.
trustee Milliwample.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is a request to approve the project services agreement with Farnsworth Group to provide professional services for City of Bloomington Township office building renovations. And Deb?
Okay, so we're ready to move to the next step with Township in terms of the design and all of the schematics that go with working on our office project condition report assessment that we've done in the past. We've added some build out on the interior for the assessor's office. They've been working from an open space with some cubicles. And so we're positioning their office to be more, quiet office settings and moving them into more of an office environment going forward. And this is the time to do that while we're already working on the project. So on the township side, we are making, the general assistance side, we're making the lobby a little smaller. So we're making the office a little smaller, the front reception area, so that the lobby is a little bit more squared off and accessible. Because we do leave our doors open for somebody to come in, kind of like a warming center, and they'll sit even through lunch. And so during office hours, they're able to utilize that space as well. So it's not the grand design that we originally had. And so we've been working on trying to scale it down a little bit. So, and then we'll have our private meeting room with an individual be a little bit more than partitions that are up, give a little bit more privacy for working with clients. So this particular Farnsworth Group professional services agreement, I wanted to just make note that it's for the design and development, creation of construction documents, the bid assistance and permitting assistance, and construction administration. So it's $115,000 for this contract, and I'm asking the board for your approval.
Are there questions or motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, motion by trustee Boland, second by trustee Craybill. Madam Clerk?
Trustee Walsh,
Yes.
trustee Boland,
Yes.
trustee Matney,
Yes.
trustee Becker,
Yes.
trustee Urban,
Yes.
trustee Ward,
Aye.
trustee Crable,
Yes.
trustee Crumpler,
Yes.
trustee Milliwample.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is a motion to accept an amendment for the proposed fiscal year FY 23 budget as requested by the township supervisor. Deb?
Okay. The amendment changes are listed on your memo. You may note the increase in the capital fund reserve. That is, we received a cost estimate cost summary, cost opinion summary is what it's called, from Farnsworth Group. This is not, it's not an exact, it's just an estimate. So in positioning the work that needs to be done in our office, what we are asking for is to move, and this has all been prepared. Remember that we intentionally accumulated these dollars over the last 5 years so that we can move into this maintenance and repair of the building, to bring it up to speed, to utilize the space that we're had unusable. So this additional money, so the total amount that was on the cost estimate was like 1,317,000. We already had 409, to be exact, 409,729 in the amount, in the line item for capital reserve. And so we're increasing that by 908,179 because that is designated for this move. I mean, for this repairs and maintenance and bringing our office up to par. So you can see on the memo that there was an increase in PPRT money of 214,400. And then we have some decreases in some line items and increases. These are just line item amendments to the budget. It designates that money. Basically what that's doing is showing you that this is where it was planned to go, especially for the capital reserve fund to work on the building. And then it also shows, it begins to show you that I know what was addressed in the past with the board, that we don't want to go over a reserve of 2.5 times the amount of expenses over 3 years. Does that make sense? Anybody have any questions about that? So there is, let me see if I can find the Illinois Township Code accumulation of funds. It's 60, it's in your packet under financial for the amended budget. Accumulation of funds 60 ILCS 185-65 states that the township funds, including but not limited to general assistance and cemetery and excluding all capital funds, shall not exceed the amount equal to or greater than 2.5 times the annual average expenses of the previous 3 fiscal years. So attempting to show you that previously in the last 3 years, so fiscal year 2020 through fiscal year 2022, we had expenditures averaging $2,367,027. So if you take that and times it by 2.5, that is an you can't go over $5,917,000 plus for all township funds combined. Does that make sense? Okay. So when you go to the amended budget results for fiscal year 2021, 22, and 23, and you factor in the 2.5 times the amount of what would be spent, we're well under that 2.5. Our number would be 3,055,000 total. So we're staying within our 2.5%. So I respectfully ask the board to approve the amended budget.
Just a quick, excuse me, clarification. This amendment is for funding the redo of the building. Capital
It's more than that, because all of the line items listed in your memo, those are all the line items that are changing.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay.
Yep.
But it does.
But
I
it
mean,
does show the designation of where those funds were planned for a number of years.
Okay.
Mhm.
But it does include the capital in addition to.
Yeah, that's in
Yes,
here
okay.
under 908-179.
Just a clarification.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion by trustee Bullen, second by trustee Crable. Madam Clerk?
Trustee Walsh,
Yes.
trustee Bullen,
Yes.
trustee Motney,
Yes.
Trustee Becker,
Yes.
trustee Urban,
Yes.
trustee Ward,
Aye.
trustee Crable,
Yes.
trustee Crumpler,
Yes.
trustee Milliwample.
Yes.
I do want to say too, one more thing, that this is, the public hearing for this will be in November. Because it has to be published
Right.
to the public for 30 days.
Next item is a recommendation to approve the estimated fiscal year 2023 tax levy for tax year 2022 as requested by the Township Supervisor,
Again,
Madam Skilling.
he's not going to have any time to talk.
I think he planned it that way.
So I wanted to make note on your memo. The levy hasn't increased and this will be 6 years. I do want to say that, and I'm going to just repeat what's in the financial part of this. For fiscal year 2021, an annual property tax rate for township was 0.12213. The impact of the levy on the home valued at $165,000 was about $60. And assuming no changes in the preliminary EAV for 2022, the annual tax rate for township is estimated to be 0.10623. What we're seeing here is a decrease in township. Because the EAV is increasing, you'll see a decrease in the tax rate for the township. That's all I have to say about that.
That's a good way to end it. Is there a motion or?
I'll make a motion to approve. It's always nice to see the rate go down.
Yes.
Second.
Okay, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Walsh,
Yes.
trustee Bolin,
Yes.
trustee Mutney,
Yes.
trustee Becker,
Yes.
trustee Urban,
Yes.
trustee Ward,
Aye.
trustee Crable,
Yes.
trustee Crumpler,
Yes.
trustee Milliwample.
Yes. Okay, now moving on to reports by elected officials. Shall we pass you that?
It's all in my report if you want to see. We've been doing a little bit of outreach and also training. So
Awesome. I'm going to turn it over to Township Assessor Steve Scudder, who has a lot to say today.
Yeah. The assessments are being published in the Pantograph and will be done on October 26th. What that means is it's going to start a 30-day window for property owners to file complaints with the County Board of Review if they don't agree with the value that we placed on their property. Included in the packet with my stuff is the County Board of Review rules, a complaint form for which a taxpayer would file through the Board of Review. If anyone has any questions on how to fill it out, they can call my office during office hours and somebody will walk them through, or they can send an email and we'll give them information they need. The county is also having an informational meeting Wednesday evening in this room at 5:30 for the city of Bloomington, and I believe it's a rural township. I'm not sure which one. At the same time, the county did place a 1.257 multiplier on the whole city of Bloomington, which increased everything that we sent to them by that much. So if the reason of this informational meeting is just to pass on information on how to file complaints also. You guys were, he asked me to invite all of the trustees if they're interested to join that meeting at Wednesday at 5:30 in this room.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, comments for Steve? No? Oh, okay, go ahead.
So just to be clear, the additional multiplier that they put all across the board, had your assessed value taken into account that delta? I'm just trying to figure out if this action by the McLean County Board is in effect kind of layering on our population here.
No, there's been this multiplier is consistent with multipliers that were put on all the townships in McLean County. There wasn't too many that fell under or at one or a negative multiplier at all this year. So that's why the informational meeting is being provided by the county, because of the increase EAV that was done at the county level towards all the townships. Does that make sense?
I'm gonna say, I think, I mean, let me just repeat back what I'm hearing. You did your evaluation.
Correct.
The percentage that the county board is adding on was not necessarily market-based. It was just we're just dealing this across the board.
It is market-based. They have the same ratio, our assessment statistics that we have. We did ours and made adjustments by neighborhood at the lowest level. Sometimes we didn't have enough sales in certain places where we didn't make adjustments. We had to meet a certain threshold in order to not get a multiplier at the county level. We made our adjustments to get everybody kind of equalized, and the county didn't see us getting enough value to equalize to the numbers that they were seeing. So that in order to do that, they just raised the whole township at the same multiplier instead of small pockets to get to the threshold that the county needs in order to meet the metrics of the Department of Revenue.
And this is all rear looking, as opposed to what you're already seeing now in terms of value starting to decline and so
Well,
forth.
we use a 3-year average. So the past 3 years, it has been a rapid increase. So the decline just started here since July, and we're going back. Our assessment date is January 1st of 2022. So that decline, we might start seeing a decrease in 2023 or maybe 2024.
Thank you.
Okay, Madam Clerk, do we have public comment?
No public comment was emailed or registered in person.
Okay, thank you. And at this point, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay,
Second.
Okay, and all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, we are adjourned. You have 2 minutes and Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting of the City of Bloomington Council to order. The time is 6:01, and if everyone could stand and pledge allegiance and then remain standing for a moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Councilmember Walsh,
Here.
Councilmember Bolin,
Here.
Councilmember Motney,
Here.
Councilmember Becker,
Here.
Councilmember Urban,
Here.
Councilmember Ward,
Here.
Councilmember Crable,
Here.
Councilmember Crumpler,
Here.
Mayor Millawamble.
Here. Do we have any public comment, Madam Clerk?
We do. We have 3 people registered to speak remotely and then 1 registered to speak in person. We received no emailed public comment.
Okay, thank you. Public comment is an opportunity for speakers to provide their views and feedback to the City Council. It is also an opportunity for the City Council to listen and hear diverse points of view. To maximize the impact of public comment and show respect for the expression of all views, speakers should maintain civility and focus on city issues. Speakers must identify themselves for the record, but are not required to give their address. Each speaker is given the floor for 3 minutes, and the council does not respond or engage in debate. Any speaker that engages in threatening or disorderly behavior will be deemed out of order and their time ceased. Okay. Who's first?
All right. First up, we have Carmen Bolden Day, who is available remotely. Carmen, if you could go ahead and press *6, you can unmute yourself and you have 3 minutes to speak. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Carmen Bolden Day. I am the mother of Jelani Day. He was a student at ISU that went missing last year on August 24th, and I reported him missing to the Bloomington Police Department. As you know, I have not had very much help from your police department. And so, Mayor, this is mainly addressed for you because I'm seeking your assistance. I've been asking questions of the Jelani Day Joint Task Force, which the Bloomington Police Department is a part of. And to no avail, Bloomington Police Department has not returned any of my calls. I have requested to speak to the officers that have been handling the case, that are supposed to be the contact person on from the Bloomington Police Department that play a role in Jelani's on this task force. And none of them have called me back. This is October of 2022. I have not spoken to a Bloomington Police Department officer since February of 2022. I sent an email to the Peru Police Department and asked them about Jelani's car. If you're not aware, Jelani's car was transported from the Bloomington Police Department to the Peru Police Department, where Peru back in August stored it outside. And when I saw it, I had questions as to why my son's car was stored outside and for the reason as to why there was still evidence all throughout his car. This is the question that I posed to Peru Police Department. I said, can you explain how the Peru Police Department stated that you did not have room to store Jelani's car, but your secure area was and is empty, and you had this major piece of evidence outside in the elements for 3 weeks during our phone call and for quite some time, per the officers who were present on 8/17/22 while I was on site visiting Jelani's car. Her response, and when I refer to her, I'm referring to Deputy Chief Police Officer Sarah Raymond in Peru. She says his car was moved to storage. when you arrived, the car was no longer in storage. The car has since been placed back in the garage. I said, can you explain why the only items that were chosen, selected to determine the identity, if there was DNA or fingerprints in Jelani's car, were chosen? She said, this question you will need to ask the state police and the Bloomington police. The Peru police did not process the vehicle. When I went on to ask her about documenting the things that were done initially with Jelani, she again referred me back to the Bloomington police. Again, I've not been able to speak to anybody from the Bloomington police. They don't return my phone calls. I'm asking you as the mayor, since you're over the police department, I mean, I know I'm asking you if you could please make sure that they contact me, that I can find the answers to know why the Jelani's car wasn't processed the way it should have been processed, that everything that was in his car when it was pulled up from that hill that night when I was there with Detective Paul Jones is still in his car to this day. Nothing was processed. When they tell me the only thing that they found in there was Jelani's fingerprint and his DNA, I now know why, because they only selected a choice items to determine this. And from what I understand, you do that when you don't determine that there is foul play. So since Bloomington took the role and said that there was no foul play, they did not process his car correctly. And so I need to know as to why they took that stance. And from the beginning, this whole investigation has been messed up. It has not.
Oh, your 3 minutes are up. Did not mean to cut you off, but those are the rules.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you want to say more at some other time, you should feel free. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Day.
All right, next up, we have in person speaking Serena Fish.
Okay.
Hello. Two roles tonight as vice chairman of the PSCRB board. We were able at our last meeting to hear an update and future plans, things to do with the flock cameras and what they've already accomplished, some things they've already solved. So based on the presentation, I'm hoping that you will be as open as we were. Not a lot of dollar increase, but it seems to really be working. My second role, West Side Neighbors Association Administrator. Another empty building, people coming into Bloomington, the Y. And an empty building at Wood, and I guess it's Center Street. So at this point now, we have no Y, no YM, no YW on the west side of town. Everything is close, basically almost on Veterans or east of there. And I think that's very unconscious to the boys and girls and seniors of West Side. There are within walking distance 3 senior housing units who use the Y there on, I don't know, sure it's Oakland and Center or MacArthur and Center. And Connect Transit put out, well, they can take a bus out to the new one. Well, Connect Transit just recently downgraded how many times a day their buses are running. They're now, because they don't have drivers, they're now on Sunday schedules. So I'm just letting you put that out there in my 2 roles. But beyond that, I love this city. Thank you for doing a good job.
Thank you. Next.
Thank you. The last person to speak is Jakari Harris, who is online and will speak remotely. Jakari, if you could please press *6 to unmute yourself. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. Thank you. My name is Jakari Harris, and I really want to say that I am deeply concerned with the leadership of Bloomington, Illinois, especially with the leadership of the police department. The fact that a citizen, a human, a student, a young Black man went missing in the city of Bloomington, Illinois last year, and to date, no one has been held accountable is truly sickening. And it doesn't take much to look on the news or on the internet to see how many people have questioned the leadership of Bloomington Police Department or the leadership of the city. I believe each of you are educated in your respective ways. So it's not rocket science for you to understand that any human or parent will want to know exactly what happened and what went on, especially if it was your loved ones. So for each of you to carry on with your life day to day as if nothing is going on, or if you're not enforcing, but you are not demanding for answers and demanding that the police department is being held accountable and doing their jobs to the fullest extent. It's definitely sad to know that you are representing this city, especially that the family of Jelani Day is grieving partly because of the lack of leadership in the police department. And I truly take issue with that because I'm a 26-year-old educated Black man with 3 degrees. And one of my degrees so happens to be in emergency management. So when I tell you that I know the ins and outs of the police department and what they're supposed to be doing, what they have not done, I know what should have been done. I know what they have not done, and they're going to be held accountable. And you all as elected officials, you all are going to be held accountable in some capacity as well. And you all are responsible for the things that have not been done, regardless if you are the police chief or not. You all are still responsible. So I'll leave you with this advice. And that is the students who are watching you all, the constituents in the community that are watching you all and they're seeing what you're not doing, they're going to remember everything that you all are not doing when it's time for re-election, when it's time for you all to beg and request for donations and beg and request for them to vote for you in next year's election. And I'm going to make sure that they know every ounce of me, what you all have done and what you all have not done for the safety and security, not just for Jelani Day, not just for your family and your children, but for anyone that walks and breathes and lives in the city of Bloomington, because it's quite sickening. So I just ask you all to please govern yourselves accordingly. Please do your job. Please show up and please ensure that you are holding the police department accountable so we can get answers. Because if this is your son, if this is your daughter, if this was your brother, your sister, you will want answers. I know without a doubt that you will want answers. So please ensure that you're governing yourselves accordingly, because if I have to march and protest and ensure that people know in Bloomington that you all are not doing what you're supposed to do, you all will not get reelected. And you all can guarantee that from me. So thank you all. I hope you all have a good evening.
Okay. Do we have any others?
We have no further public comment.
Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda would be recognitions and appointments, or we have none, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And so we're going to move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mayor, if you would. Oh,
Sorry.
sorry, I apologize. I just wanted to make one comment
That's right.
publicly really quick about item 7U. So Councilmember Crable was thoughtful enough to point out a Scrivener's error that we found in the ordinance that's attached. And I just wanted to publicly let everyone know that council was provided an updated ordinance. It had to do with the daycare definition, and it was truly just a Scrivener's error, but it was caught and corrected. And so if you will, when you move forward with the consent agenda, adopt 7U as amended. Thank you. And sorry, Councilmember Walsh, to
Okay.
cut you off.
Thank you. And this was highlighted for me here in yellow and I missed it. That's the only thing that's highlighted. Councilmember Walsh.
I would like to pull 7M and 7N from the consent agenda, please.
So 7M as Mboka.
Yes,
Okay. And then 7
N as in
Nancy.
Nancy.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Anybody else?
Can I make a motion?
Oh, hold on. I think she wants to.
Yeah, I'd like to please pull 7E.
7E. Okay. So is there a, did you
I'll
want to
make-
pull something?
No.
Oh,
motion.
okay,
Just-
all right, thank you.
Go ahead.
Okay. I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of 7E, 7M, 7N, and with the amended 7U.
Second.
That was a beautiful motion. Thank you. So, motion by, Councilmember Bolin, second by Councilmember Crable. And if you could please vote. Okay, the amended consent agenda passes. There are no nays to announce. And now we're going to go ahead and consider item 7N, M, N, and E in the order they were pulled. So let's start with 7M, Councilmember Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just looking at these, both of these, M and N are both related to the Hamilton Road extension. And I just look at this and this has been around for years and years, this entire thing. And I just wonder why the purpose, what really truly is the purpose of this extension? I've asked, I've never received answers in the past about there at the far east side there, why we can't put a stoplight at 150 if the intersection is so dangerous. And it just seems that exploring something like that might be a better use of city dollars and taxpayer dollars than, here we've got, $120,000, $130,000 for a study, another study. And then we have no idea what this is going to cost now. It's probably going to be north of $10 million for the Hamilton Road extension. And, it's another road that we have to upkeep. It's another road that we have to plow. Would be, $10 million in the long term that we're taking away from the rest of our roads, where we know the conditions of the rest of our roads. And I just don't think that this is a good use of taxpayer dollars at all. So thank you.
Can I make a comment?
Sure, did you want to?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Okay, with the Hamilton Road extension, yes, you're correct. It's been in the works for what, 30 years, correct me, Mr. Colby, if I'm wrong. And basically, it is an extension that was planned quite a few years ago to connect the southwest side of the city to the State Farm area. Rhodes Road is basically a county road that would need to be updated or upgraded anyway. There are no curbs. There's ditches on both sides. I had the unfortunate experience of being on that road during rush hour when a fire truck had to go through. So it's not just safety at the intersection. There's actually safety issues when you're on the road. This is the use of motor fuel tax, state motor fuel tax that has been building, an account being built in a reserve sense to pay for this. So it's not local tax. Yes, it's true. We're going to have to maintain it going forward, but do we maintain Rhodes Road? Okay, we maintain Rhodes Road. So that is not really any difference. And a new road, what's 20 years, hopefully, the lifespan. So I would like to make a motion to approve as presented.
Sure. And, one thing that I would add, Councilmember Walsh, is that this, of course, has been studied for a very long time. There is an extensive amount of background information on it that is available. Hamilton, this bond to commerce connection is going to help us be able to connect the city going from east to west, because right now there's not a very easy way to go about it. So you have to kind of meander, through the town, and with the, having Rivian and also, Ferrero in the community, I think it's going to be make traffic a little bit more efficient. But I know we do have a council member, sorry, not council, I just promoted you. Director of Public Works, Kevin Cothey here, but I don't know if Deputy City Manager Tyus wants to make some remarks as well.
Kevin, if you could come to the podium, we'd appreciate it. You're absolutely right in that a large reason for the project is just as the two council members have explained, it's to provide a better connection from the east and west sides of our community, especially as you look at some of the growth that's happened. We want to make sure that each part of our community has access to the other in an easy way, easier way than there is now, frankly. And it's not just about a state farm, but it's also about some of the other growth that's happened in other parts of our community. We want to make sure that people are able to get to and from, especially as we continue to grow. So, Kevin.
Yeah, and thank you. We are quite far along with engineering and right-of-way acquisitions. We're down to finalizing like the last 6 right-of-way acquisitions we need. That's what part of this supplemental resolution is for the right-of-way. And then also some additional engineering fees, but we are getting very close where, we hope to get this thing out to bid next year. And once we get all the right of way, we can move forward. The plans are pretty much done. And this has been in the planning stages for many, many years. And as you know, when you look at Hamilton Road from east to west, there's everything's there except for this piece. And then of course, Fox Creek Road, which is still in the works. But that completes an arterial road basically across the south side of Bloomington that connects east to west. And we're just excited that we're getting this close to getting it done. So.
I'd like to make one more comment. Once that road that you said it's east-west, okay. There's a pretty good likelihood that there might be some commercial development in that
For sure.
area.
Yeah.
Because access is easier. So that is an economic driver.
Okay, and
I have a question real quick. Where are we at on the at-grade railroad crossing on this effort?
Yeah, we've got a tentative agreement with Norfolk Southern for the at-grade crossing. We haven't filed the ICC petition yet, but we're finalizing the cost of the easement and stuff with Norfolk Southern. So we're very close to getting all that put together to take it to the ICC and get the ICC order for it. So that's all been in the works for years. And like I said, we're very close now.
With that agreement, is there anything that they are expecting from the city if they grant us that?
Yeah, part of that agreement has been negotiating with the railroad for siding relocation. And there's also incorporated with the agreement closing of 2 crossings in the city, 2 existing crossings that's been talked about before. It's been a few years, but one of them is a Western Avenue, which is a low volume crossing just west of Morris. And then the other one is I believe it's Roosevelt, which is south of the Coliseum. The street doesn't go through, but there's parallel streets just a block away to get across. So that's been talked about a number of years ago, that is part of that agreement. So.
Okay. And as for commerce opportunities, here we are making an expansion as we like to continue to talk about, downtown. And here we are focusing on something that's away from downtown. Once again, and where are the taxpayer dollars going to come from? If we do downtown, if we do this, and I just don't. It seems like we're trying to operate off a bottomless pit of money, and there's not one. So thank you.
thank you, Kevin. Do we have any other? Oh, Councilmember Urban.
Do you want a second, I think, right?
Yes,
Okay.
Mayor, thank you. Would like to second Alderman Boland's motion to approve 7M and 7N.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. And other comments?
Yeah, I know, I do think it's good to, every time this comes up to kind of revisit the history, keep people's minds understanding the full history, because there has been a history there. One of Alderman Walsh's questions that wasn't answered is if this would take away from other work, and I had the same question. And the answer from staff today was staff anticipates project will be attractive to area contractors due to its scope and size. We do view this project as different than our other projects such as asphalt resurfacing and sidewalk work. The Hamilton Road project will likely be attractive to major earth moving and utility installation contractors. Those same contractors will most likely sub out the asphalt paving on the Hamilton project to paving contractors. Staff doesn't anticipate the asphalt paving for this project to negatively impact the city's other projects.
Okay, thank you. And I do remember, Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong, but this also Connect Transit there's a connection, with Connect Transit, right? With the Veterans Facility, the VA clinic. And them adding a stop there.
Yeah,
I think.
Connect Transit has expressed interest potentially in future access. Right now, they don't have a route that runs that way, but they don't have a street that goes through either. So a lot of you will remember that in past years, we did apply for federal grants, build and raise and so forth. And they were very supportive of our grant application and that it connects, potential east-west through there that they don't have right now, that opportunity.
Thank you. Let me give it a chance to Councilmember Crumpler because he's been waiting. And then
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just want to say, I appreciate Councilmember Walsh's concern, being a good steward of tax dollars. I think agreeing with Councilmember Boland, this is more than just a stoplight fix. I think this is 20, 30 years in the works, and it's something that this community really needs, and I plan to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Boland.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. This is state motor fuel tax. I mean, we do pay motor fuel tax to the state, and get some back. And my understanding is that state motor fuel tax is primarily used for bridges and roads like this. So it's not the local motor fuel tax that is used for street resurfacing.
That's correct. And we also have surface transportation urban money in this, which is a federal allocation. So that's also, an allocation that comes to the MPO, the Municipal Planning Organization, which is McLean County Regional Planning Commission. We share between Normal and the county and Bloomington dollars that come in that way. So that's also, besides the state motor fuel tax, we're also using STU money, they call it. So
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
If I could, sorry, I just wanted to make sure, Councilmember Boland, was your motion for 7M and N?
It was not. It was
Okay.
for M.
Would you like to amend it for both, similar to the
Oh,
second,
yeah, but-
or?
Sure, they're connected.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I had only M down, but then I heard the N on the other. So, all right, thank you.
Okay, and are you okay with that, the seconder then? Okay. Yeah, I was
Alright.
pointing to Councilmember Cravo, but I meant you.
All right, it's ready electronically with
Okay.
both. Thank you.
Okay, the item passes. Both items pass, and there is one nay to announce, Madam Clerk.
And that would be Councilmember Walsh.
Okay, thank you. And now moving on to item 7E, Councilmember Ward.
Yeah, thank you. I just have one question about this, not specifically about this item, but about how we prioritize purchase of playground equipment. And if I could get some clarification, is there a list? Is there something along the lines of a priority list and how that works and how one gets on that list? It would be helpful to me.
Well, a couple different ways. Depends on what type of playground we're purchasing.
Just in September, I attended the National Recreation Parks Association Conference in Phoenix, where I met with all the vendors. They actually installed $350,000 playgrounds in a conference, and you can play on them if you're in the, that's where you meet the people in person. And then obviously we look through our contractors that we can use for internally, like the Omnia Partners contract that we have for tonight, or Sourcewell. But then we go back to this example for this evening, which you're not exactly citing, but you're mentioning, is this park was a donated playground that is open space. So we have a clean slate. And so for this playground, we're trying to get the most that we can out of the ages from 3 to 12. But when we look at other options in different orders, we're either replacing playgrounds or we are trying to add different amenities. So.
Not exactly. I mean, I guess I understand some of the criteria that you're looking to, but I'm not entirely clear on how somebody gets in line for their playground to be worked on. And is there a priority list? I'm thinking in terms of the way we have the algorithms for street repair, for example, where it's not just that, you know, I call up and say, well, I want my street repaired. You got to do my street before we do council member Urban Street. Right? That there's a priority list. And I'm wondering if such a list exists with playground equipment or not, and what it would take to get such a list.
All right, that's a different answer. I apologize.
It's okay.
The better answer for that is Bobby Mays, who's our superintendent of parks. He and his team go out and evaluate all of the parks. In addition to that, the ASTM standards that come with the park playground equipment when they buy it has a life expectancy. So the list includes variables that are with life expectancy, the rate of deterioration that is in a certain area of town, and then also if we get complaints, and also if we were to get needs from your area and your ward that are ahead of that timetable. So is the list defined exactly as I think you're asking? Probably not, but variables go into that list that put it in a different order each year. And then we look at it in a capital project. For example, this item tonight is in the capital projects.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Would
Oh.
you like to make a motion? Oh, do you have a question?
Yeah,
Jeff does.
sorry, I was gonna ask Eric a question. I tried to jump in there, but, and you may have answered this question today, but I thought, you know, since this is an open item, with regard to, we do try to make all our parks accessible,
Mhm.
right? And including Sweeney Park, and if you could talk a little bit about that and how what we're doing, say at Sweeney Park is different than what happened at Rolling Brook.
Okay. Well, I have the answer to your question right here. The difference between this one and Rolling Brook, though, is Rolling Brook wasn't the park I believe you're referencing is Harmony Park in Rolling Brook Park. It is an inclusive playground, which all of the equipment in there is designed to be inclusive for persons with special needs. This park has components of that in it, but it is not necessarily designed to be an inclusive playground. In this area in particular, which we sought out grants before, which was an OSLAG grant that we didn't get, we would have had some other components. In this one, we're using the Game Time Cares grant, and that will allow us to put up a playground that serves age 3 to 12. But the highest need in that area, and I'm sure Sheila can assist me with this, is we have a high density residential area that is underserved, kind of behind the Avantis and going over to Pamela Drive. So this park itself is a neighborhood park. It won't have parking, so it has to be within walkability of distance. And we believe that what we're putting in with this playground meets the criteria for those needs and includes inclusivity.
Thank you. Now, a motion? Oh, Councilmember Walsh, sorry. Sorry, not Walsh, Motney.
I just wanted to say thank you to the Park District for their work in this area. Precinct 51 is a very high density precinct with a high population of immigrants, children who are currently playing in the streets. They don't have any park access by sidewalk to their neighborhoods. And this has been on the books for a while. 2019 was the time that a neighborhood information session was held with these folks. And I'm so grateful. And I know the families who live in this area will be extremely grateful that we finally been able to take that field and put something on it for them. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Motney. And I should add, because I was there when some of the conversation started, that the land was donated by the Sweeney family, of which one of the members used to work at the library, actually at the Bloomington Public Library. So it was it felt really good. I mean, it was great to have that, to have this opportunity. So it's fantastic. Very happy for everyone involved. Okay, I think we're ready for a motion now.
I'd be happy to motion that we approve 7E. Thank
Okay.
you.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Motney and second by Councilmember Bolin. Okay. And if you could please vote. Okay, the item passes. There are no nays to announce. Thank you. And we are going to move on to the regular agenda. I can find it. Starting with item 8A, a consideration and action to approve the early termination of the existing agreement with Axon Enterprises, and the approval of a new 5-year fixed annual cost agreement with Axon Enterprises as a limited source as requested by the police department. And I'm going to turn it over to Deputy City Manager Tyus for introductory comments.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. Axon provides body cameras and tasers under a separate agreement to our police department, and they provide a host of other services. If you've ever seen TV shows where they're showing police body camera video, you probably have seen the name of the company. Well, they provide us with that equipment. We're operating under 2 separate agreements currently. One for some of the body cameras and other associated services, and then one for tasers, which actually expired at the end of September. The item before you would terminate the existing agreement for the body cameras and the associated equipment early, and we would enter into an agreement that provides more necessary and critical equipment, in our opinion, for the police department to be able to do the work that they do each and every day. For the last several months, Assistant Chief Kenny Bays has been working with the company to come up with the agreement that is before you. And he and Chief Jamal Symington will talk a little bit more about what's before you, what it means, et cetera. So guys, take it away.
Thank you, Deputy City Manager. Good evening, City Council, Mayor. We certainly thank you for this opportunity. It is imperative that we continue to push the police department forward with our technology. This piece of technology and the entire contract targets 5 of the 6 21st century policing initiative pillars, which is the foundation of our strategic plan for the next 3 years. It will touch on building trust and transparency, policy and oversight, technology and innovation, crime reduction, and professionalism. I'll turn this over to Assistant Chief Kenny Bays for further.
Thank you, Council, Mayors, Assistant City Manager. I just wanted to briefly go over some of the systems that Assistant City Manager Tyus referenced. Axon provides body-worn cameras. They provide in-car camera systems, which we also have. They, as you will see, they provide interviewing systems, which this new contract is an upgrade to be inclusive of those. And then evidence.com, and a lot of the magic takes place in evidence.com and the integration. Stitching time saves 9. There's several stitches along the way, and we realize those time savings as we go. There's a prosecutor's module, which allows us a seamless, almost instantaneous transfer of digital exhibits with the prosecutor's office and an ability to track receipt of those and access. Axon Citizen is a particular app that allows us as officers in the field to send a link to an individual who can immediately upload evidence that's relative to a case we're investigating, rather than us waiting until someone can come out and figure out the computer or figure out what kind of media they need to bring back to the scene a day or two later and run the risk of missing or losing that evidence. The partner sharing I made reference to, not only with the prosecutor's office, we can also share the information with other law enforcement agencies, as we've done in various different investigations over time. Again, at the click of a button, rather than burning disks and actually physically transporting items to the other entities or entities. And the management and retention, state law requires us to retain body worn cameras for certain type of periods of time, depending on the type of event that was captured in the recording. And that's integrated within the system based on clearance and flagging codes that are tied directly to our CAD system, which overwrites the data with the proper tracking information and categorization and retention categories, so the officers don't have to revisit. And when you consider, I think we're on target for 65,000 calls, and some of those calls could involve every single officer on shift and then some. So that's a number of videos that we would be going back and manually updating if we didn't have the auto tagging feature. Combining the contracts, as Assistant City Manager Tice referenced, the tasers actually expired as far as the warranty on them at the end of this last September. Then the concern is raised about being able to rely on them to be effective and not require an escalation of force due to their failure in the field. So it's very important to us that we have the current technology and reliable products in the hands of our officers out there. Cost incentives, we're realizing a significant number of cost incentives, incentives, in addition to possibly shielding us from the inflation we've seen over the recent months, last year or so. Much the same as the 4-year contract that we're at. The 5-year contract that we completed 4 years on with body cams also offered us some sort of protections from those over time. And another addition that we will be getting with this new contract that we don't currently have is the unlimited third-party data. That answers a host of problems and challenges that we encounter on a daily basis when we're trying to manage and store all of this digital evidence. We'll just be able to put it in the cloud with criminal justice information security compliance server and redundancies built in with the company. And we won't spend a lot of time here locally trying to recover data that may have been lost, corrupted, or otherwise. The increases we will see from our original contract, we started with 100 body worn cameras. We recently, the last fiscal year, updated to 115. Now, as we've been successful in getting officers to come on board, we're going to be up to 128 body worn cameras, 128 taser systems, 8 interview room systems, which is in addition to replacing our current in-house recording system for interviews that I'm actually fighting with recovering a video now. It's there. It just doesn't want to let me pull it off the system yet, but that will take care of that and automatically up those into active caseloads. So with all that, I appreciate your consideration, and I just know that we've been very happy with the service that we've had again for 5 years, because the first year we had it for free as a trial period. We actually had almost an entire year of full deployment trial testing with this company before we decided to go with them after having tried another vendor. Thank you.
Okay. Some comment,
Slide 2. I forgot this. So our current annual cost for tasers, body worn cameras, and squad cars annual cost is $239. With this new contract and the added features I referenced, that's the increase that we will realize. Keeping in mind, we're adding the number of body worn cameras and we're adding tasers to the contract, but the numbers should come out true to you. The 5-year difference is the $727,000. If we were to wait until next November, predictions are and estimates from Axon would be, with cost increases, product delays, and the loss of the incentives offered, it could possibly be another $750,000. Now I'm done. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you. Is there motion?
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Bolin.
I'll second.
Okay, second by Councilmember Becker. Are there any comments, questions?
I'll make a quick comment if you don't mind. In my past work life, I've had a lot of experience researching digital evidence management. And I just want to say, and I don't know if I've said this to you before, but you guys are more on top of it than any organization that I worked with or that I was researching. The technologies that you're looking at are the ones that everyone else is using. And I think you're doing a better job of presenting it, knowing what's going on and managing it. So I'm fully in support of this, obviously. So great job.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. So, well, Councilmember Craybill, Ward, and then Bolin.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to ask just specifically, how will this package reduce crime?
Well, we are targeting the offenders, and there's the offender piece that allows us to take a diligent case before a prosecutor. And when prosecutors prosecute cases, generally it leads to a layer of deterrence, accountability for that person who may be involved in criminal behavior. And then additionally, the body camera, when it's live and recording, again, it deters bad conduct, and it allows the officer to have that layer of reference memorialized on the body cam, which leads to better behavior as we carry out our mission from day to day.
Thanks, Chief. And this just goes back to an incident, I don't know how long ago, but somewhere else. But do these new tasers help with differentiating between an officer's gun and taser?
If I understand your question, so Axon has a technology called Signal. The current AB3s, which I'm currently wearing, as well as the chief, have the ability for shot detection, which is different than a taser. It's more designed to detect the discharge of the officer's firearm within 6 feet. Now, they do make devices that can be attached to our firearm holster to activate our camera when it's drawn. That actually would be inclusive of this. And our tasers, when we power them on, they activate the body worn cameras. Now, as far as the after action review, the audit of the activation would simply read, it might actually read taser, and I'm not sure about the firearm side because I haven't seen that work yet.
Okay, I'm not sure. I may not have asked the question well. Maybe I missed it. I'm sorry, but see, so an officer has a gun on his holster as well as a taser.
Correct.
And in the heat of the moment, what makes him, if they want to pull the taser versus the gun, how do they make? Is there something that helps them tell the difference?
There is not, but best practices is to have a cross draw, or we can draw of the taser. And in our training for the taser, that is one of the components, is to assure that cross draw component is in there. If you look at most all of our officers, it'll be either in a cross draw or a weak side opposite their firearm. That's the best practices for now.
Okay, and thank you. And then on page 567, it was like delivery of items. It mentions Fleet 3 ALPR license 1 camera quantity 37. Could you explain what that is?
So the Fleet 3 system has the ability to have ALPR, but we don't have to activate it.
Gotcha.
And those actually would not be delivered for approximately 13 months from the go live on the contract of January 1. It's an optional feature that comes with that system already integrated into the ALPR.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, Councilmember Ward.
Yes, thanks for this presentation, and I particularly appreciate the clarification about the from our earlier conversation about the annual budget difference. I see that this is going to cost some money. I see this as an investment in transparency and accountability, and for me, that's worthwhile. And every year when we have budget talks, the question always comes up, why is it that our budget goes up every year as a city council, and why is our budget so high? And I simply want to draw attention that this is one of the reasons why that the budget goes up, because we do invest in accountability and transparency, and that's seems like a worthy expenditure of city funds, but it also is one of the reasons why budgets increase from year to year. That makes sense to me. But thank you for giving us that information.
Thank you. I know we have Councilmember Bolin, Crumpler, and Urban.
Yeah, I appreciate the presentation and everything you're doing. I know there's mandates coming down from the state. And what I really appreciate is your financial management of what you're doing here, kind of getting ahead of the game as far as keeping the costs down. So thank you very much.
Okay, Councilmember Crumpler.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Yes, thanks again for the presentation. I don't have Councilmember Becker's expertise in technology. But I just wanted to say I really appreciate, the Bloomington Police Department really moving forward to bring new technology. And as I said in my another discussion, things like Act on Citizen, those are the kinds of things that seem to me to increase accountability and allow your officers to do a job that's really difficult and really important. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Urban.
Thank you, Mayor. I can't say enough, and I say it often, how proud I am of the officers and for these things that you bring forward like this. The way that you are changing the way community policing works is phenomenal. I look forward to seeing your beautiful pictures on the front of Time magazine in the future. And I'm happy to support this for you. And I'm very glad that you brought this before us so we could give you our support.
Thank you. And I would add to that, Councilmember Urban talked about community policing. So I think we have all noted a lot of the efforts. We see you out and about in the community quite a bit. So I think the department, moving forward and doing positive things is not just about the technology. It's about the many other things that you're doing. And a lot of people have noticed, and they mentioned that to me in the community. Hey, we saw them at an event, and the interactions are very pleasant, with a lot of the police officers. The other thing that I would add is that, way back when, because I was on council, we were talking about body cameras, but that was before the Safety Act legislation. So we were ahead of the game when it comes to that. And I think this is also another example of how we're getting ahead of the game. So we definitely appreciate that. Thank you. We had a motion, right? Councilmember Becker and Councilmember Bolin, right?
Flip-flopped, but yes, and
Yes.
it's ready.
Okay, all right. I got so excited, I forgot about the motion.
If you'll just refresh, or you could give us a verbal aye, Councilmember Ward, that would be wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. The item passes. There are no nays to announce. And we're going to move on to item 8B. Consideration and action to approve as a limited source the Tyler Munis upgrade and software as a service agreement and SaaS migration payment with Tyler Technologies for various Munis modules of the city's enterprise resource planning system, cloud hosted systems and storage, data migration, and project management in the amount of $371,463 as requested by the Information Technology Department. Today is like a technology day. Are you excited, Councilmember Becker? I feel like you had an influence on this agenda. Okay, Deputy City Manager Tice, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to leave the details of this to IT Director Craig Macbeth, but really quickly, Tyler Munis it's the background and it's the support system for almost everything that we do in this organization. Everything from billing and payments to HR functions to personnel functions, you name it. Tyler Munis is supporting it and backing it up, and it's based on that system. Craig has been working on the details of the recommended upgrade for tonight. And also migration of our existing systems to a cloud base, which is going to allow us to do some really special things with his staff as well. Again, it's not exciting. It's not, well, maybe to you or to you, it's not sexy, but it's critical to what we do every day. And so, Craig.
Thank you, Deputy City Manager Tyus, and thank you, Mayor and Council, for this opportunity. Us in the IT department and several departments throughout the city have been working on this for some time. So we are excited about this to finally get this to you for your approval. As Deputy City Manager Tyus mentioned, this is core functionality for the city of Bloomington. And I won't repeat everything that he said, but every department is impacted by the Tyler Munis system. So the first question is, why do we need to upgrade? So Phil, if you want to go to the next slide, please. Beyond just the simple definition of why we need to upgrade and stay current, several security enhancements, come with continual upgrades. We are currently on a version that's several years old because we've had to delay the upgrade due to COVID pandemic, and the focus needed to be on keeping lights on and business operational in that aspect. So we're kind of going back to try and get our systems up to date and current as possible. What we've also heard from this vendor is that all future releases for this will only be available in the SaaS model or the cloud-based model. While they will provide point releases and things like that for this current version, all future releases, all future enhancements will only be available in the SaaS model. Also, currently we're all on premise for this environment. So it's comprised of several servers and a lot of storage. This will free up all that storage, computing power, resources, backup, and maintenance from city staff, and that'll go to the Tyler Services model. The biggest thing, or one of the biggest things, is that this is going to allow a shift in IT resources from performing all those tasks to maintaining the systems and upgrades to truly focus on improving business processes within the Munis system so we can get full efficiency out of that system. Several benefits, you've kind of heard some of them already from our police department of going to a cloud model. Couple highlighted big benefits for us, for the city of Bloomington, is disaster recovery. The disaster recovery services that come in the SaaS model is much greater than we have today on-prem. It allows us the ability to back up and restore systems and test those very efficiently. It also provides another layer for ransomware protection with immutable backups and a couple other mechanisms there. The other big benefit for the SaaS model is a subscription-based license. So for those of you that are aware and have been around for some time like I have, the Tyler model is currently a perpetual license. So we bought the license and we pay maintenance every year for those licenses. In doing so, we've bought several modules of licensing and have gradually implemented those over the years. So there's an occurrence where sometimes we'll be paying for things we don't necessarily fully utilize yet. So by going to a subscription-based model, we're going to truly pay for what we use. Next slide, Phil. So quickly, the decision-making process, we've reached out to multiple clients that currently use Tyler Munis, both on-prem and on the SaaS cloud model. We got their feedback. We interviewed various local municipalities about their experience and things that they have learned, things that we should to take their experience with and make improvements on our end. We reviewed those feedbacks and findings with the Bloomington Technology Commission. We had two readings basically for that, one on January 25th and the other one on February 22nd. Answered several questions with them and have Technology Commission support for this move. And with that, I got that 3 slides there. So any questions you have, I'd be happy to take.
Okay. Questions or a motion?
I'll move approval.
Okay, moved by Councilmember Ward and then second by Councilmember Bolin. Question?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks, Mayor.
Councilmember Kerber.
So when you talk about the ability to to focus on business process improvements. Can you give an example?
Yeah, so one of the things that we have done with our Tyler Munis system is it's very specific customization or implementation for each department, whether it's financials or APs or accounts receivable or general billing, permitting inspections, utility billing. Those are very specific to meet our needs. And while we've gone through that implementation back in 2009 for several of those modules, a lot of those modules have been upgraded over the years. So we haven't really had a chance to truly understand if there was additional benefits or additional features that we may have that we truly don't understand yet. And also to work with those departments to understand if their business processes have changed at all from the original implementation, and how can we make things better to truly evaluate that and understand that.
Thank you. And then how do we make sure that Tyler is taking the steps to prevent and address any data breaches?
Good question. Great question, actually. As going to a cloud model, that is certainly a risk as you lose some of that control. One of the things that we have put in place with them is a process where which we can get copies of our data back routinely. So that way we can maintain our critical data. So in the instance that that does occur, that we will have the ability to still function and do business. But to directly answer your question about, the monitoring or oversight, we have just basic audit reports and certification reports from them that show that they're meeting those certain security requirements.
And I'll note that as part of the agreement that that you can ask for an additional security audit. And then, and you can also request, for instance, a client-specific disaster recovery test. Are those things that you're looking to do?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the benefits I'm really hoping to gain and leverage quite extensively, because while we do have backups and we maintain those backups for our current system, we don't have a good way to test those very effectively. So being in a cloud-based model, we're going to be a much more better position to test those and leverage those audits. And
great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilmember Walsh.
Thank you. Thank you for this presentation. A couple things I want to ask about the DR exercise. And in the contract here where it says that we can request an additional DR exercise outside their normal where they would do their entire data center. I'm assuming if we were to request a one-off type of thing, there would be additional charges.
I believe we're accounted for one per year.
One additional beyond their regular data center DR exercise?
Yes.
Where it's one-off? Okay.
Yes, that's what I understand.
All right. The connection that we have with them for city staff to sit down, log into the system and do their work. Is that a B2B connection or is that a web-based connection?
Is web-based.
Is there multi-factor authentication in that?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. That's all I need.
Okay. Thank you. Councilmember Bolin.
I have to agree with you that this is exciting because it's basic service from the city to the citizens. So thank you.
Okay. We did have a motion, right? Yep, Councilmember Ward and Bolin, right?
That's correct.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, so we can go ahead and vote then.
I think Phil is getting it up, but we do have all eyes.
Okay. All right, the item passes. There are no nays to announce. Guess everybody's excited. So we're going to move on to item 8C, a consideration and action to approve a resolution waiving the formal bidding requirements and approving the necessary agreements with OpenGov Inc. to provide a citizen services platform for the Economic and Community Development Department as requested by the IT and Economic and Community Development Departments and Deputy City Manager Tyus.
This is really exciting. Okay. So really, it actually is. And what this does is it becomes it's a platform that becomes a 24/7 door to our Economic and Community Development Department, where residents and contractors and developers can interact with the department at any time through this platform. Folks looking to obtain permits and licensing, or who need an inspection, or there's a code enforcement component. People who want to make payments for permits, et cetera, they can do it on their own time, which we are really, really excited about. It's got parts of it that will allow applicants to request inspection dates online. It's things like that. It's things where currently you're looking to have someone come out and do a site inspection for you. There's a component that allows you to do things like upload photos on a tablet, so there can be real-time back and forth conversations with our staff, so that it saves time and money for both staff, but also for a developer or a contractor. So what we've heard, obviously we don't have the system yet because you're considering it tonight, but what we've heard is that the permit application process happens up to 5 times faster than it does with your traditional manual system. We've also had some communities who have reported an 80% decrease in foot traffic for permitting as well. So it's one of those things that we are expecting will make us more efficient, will allow us to work better, faster together internally, but also for the community who is out there doing development, and the contractors who are out there who need these things done. It will allow them to do that more efficiently and on their own time. And for residents as well, who perhaps need a permit to put on a deck or do other things. It allows them to do that more rapidly and more efficiently. So Craig, back to you.
Thank you, Deputy City Manager Tyus. You really covered the whole slide that I had, so great job there. Phil, if you want, I can just go to the next slide. So this is another exciting project, like Billy mentioned. While Munis is kind of the back end side of the house, this is the public facing side. This is how we make it easier to do business with the city of Bloomington. The Economic Development Department, Melissa Hahn and IT have been working on this all this year to evaluate several solutions to find out what is going to streamline and automate the processes that Billy outlined. This will provide us that enhanced customer service portal that anybody can go to 24/7 to be able to pull a permit or seek an inspection, or just even communicate effectively with the city of Bloomington. Customers, they can draft, submit, pay for applications online, which is another piece that we do not have today, is the online payment portion. Customers will be able to make and track and communicate with city staff, like I just mentioned. The big benefit with this system, it's proven to be very flexible in designing workflows that can meet multiple other needs within the ECD department and even across other departments. So we're really excited to kind of get into that space and again, make it easier for citizens to do business with us. OpenGov is another cloud-based solution, many of the similar benefits that we just spoke of with Tyler Munis, but they're going to be able to maintain and update that system and software and provide the security fixes for us, to ensure that it's being delivered appropriately. They do also have known and compatible interfaces with Tyler Munis. Several of their clients, even in Illinois and in our surrounding areas, have those interfaces built in already. So it will help integrate with our existing Munis system for financial information. Several of those, including Decatur, Bolingbrook, Deerfield, Bartlett, are just a few in the area. So there is a growing user base with this solution. We also currently have a partnership with OpenGov with our Procure Now software. So we already have an existing relationship. Their Procure Now software has been very positively received with city staff for both functionality and support. And again, I can't highly recommend enough working with OpenGov on this endeavor.
Okay, awesome. When Deputy City Manager Tyus said, people can submit things 24/7, I looked at the ECD staff back there and I'm like, they seem kind of worried. No, I know you guys can manage. Okay, do we have questions or a motion?
A
Councilman
question.
Ward?
Is there any overlap or duplication with the My Bloomington app?
No, not directly. So the My Bloomington app is more of a citizen request system. We're looking and seeking for certain information about a request or request type. I think there is a module of the citizen service platform that will be available to us that could do some of that, but that is not the primary use case for this right now. Certainly as we expand, the capabilities of the citizen service platform and open it up to additional permits and inspections and business licenses processes, then we can begin to look at certainly the My Bloomington aspect. And if there is duplication, what is the best software to do that?
Thanks.
I will make a motion to approve 8C as presented.
I'll second.
Thank you. I would like to make comment about this. Over the years, and I'm sure Melissa is well aware, developers and realtors and all those people out there have been frustrated with the speed. So the fact that you're taking this on and gonna increase efficiency is great. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments about this exciting development? Did you see what I did? Okay, well, we have a motion and a second, so we can go ahead and vote. Okay, fantastic. The item passes. There are no nays to announce.
Thank you.
All right. Now we're gonna move on to Finance Director report. This is just as exciting.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, it's tough acts to follow there. Same old from the finance guy. So having said that, I'm going to mix things up a little bit. Sorry, Bill. Since we're 5 months into the year, 42%, you're going to see that trend stat on the reports, but really only 3 months in with some revenues. I'm just going to make a couple of quick comments about tonight's council, if I may. So to Councilmember Ward's request to Parks about, requests for projects, we're going to be meeting with council, I think some in early December or sometime in December, to review the project submission list from the departments so that council can provide input, see what's on the list, things of that nature for FY24. So I'm going to try to get that earlier in the process related to those projects, the parks, et cetera. Related to the police and the Axon cameras, et cetera. So just putting the budget in context. So, increase of 145 grand. What was in the memo referenced the cannabis state share, the use tax. So that's not related to our dispensary. That's dollars that the state is sharing of their sales tax coming back to local governments to be used in the mitigation of crimes related to cannabis, et cetera. So not that, we got that revenue and, made this decision based on that, but it shows that, there's revenue to offset that. But when we're talking about our budget, the budget, we always reference the expense, just the total. So when there's revenues to offset it, it kind of disconnects a little bit. Our budgets could be going up, but we have a revenue source that's kind of covering some of this things. So I just wanted to make that comment. And then related to Craig and SAS for Munis and the rating agencies with the latest round of bonds that we went after for the library and the O'Neill Park and Pool, they're asking questions about cybersecurity. So I was able to provide them some information from Craig and what his plan was for the coming year. Boom, right past that. So, it just kind of goes to show that a lot of this, comes together, impacts the city in a lot of different ways. It's good for the residents, it's more efficient operations, but it has a financial impact as well. So that's my intro. Next slide, please, to mix it up. This month, I'll cruise through these. It's the same position that we've been in the last couple of months. Revenues are trending well. Again, I just want to keep repeating this, acknowledging that inflation, driving prices up, local community, strong economy, people still making the same amount of purchases, paying more for those, positive for the city in terms of sales tax revenues, understandably, a negative impact for our local consumer. I want to highlight home rule sales tax, year-to-date budget variance, $596,000 up. Myself and Chris Tarmelin, the budget manager, we reviewed some reports from the state Department of Revenue that shows where the origination of sales tax, the retailers. And so we're able to kind of look at those online, out of state home rule tax dollars that are new since January 1st of 2021. I've been referencing the new revenues, and it's tracking at about a $3.2 million annual level for home rule sales tax related to out of state online retailers. So in the last 2 years, those are new revenues. And the state component, state sales tax, we were getting some use tax, that's voluntary submission of people buying stuff from out of state, but most of that's really coming from businesses. So our state sales tax is being positively impacted from that as well. Other highlight on the major tax revenues, utility tax. While we've taken it down the budget year to year because the telecom is going down, it's been going down steadily. It is over budget year to date. And again, it's the double message. Natural gas prices are going way up. We have part of our utility tax it's a natural gas utility tax, 3.75% on gross receipts. That's about $124,000 or $125,000 positive variance year to date. So that's driving most of that variance, that positive variance there. And then again, I just like to highlight this every month, the food and beverage tax, just really strong indicator of our local economy, 320,000 almost dollars over year to date. Again, that's being driven by higher pricing, things like that, but still just a good, measure of our local economy. Next slide, please. With the next two exhibits, I really wanted to kind of talk about the impacts of timing and how it affects our financial statements and makes them, it's a little tough to kind of get your head around them at this point in time in the fiscal year. The taxes line is showing, versus our trend where we're, 5 months into the year, we should be 42%. It's 45% positive. Well, we only have 3 months of sales taxes versus 5 months. So you'd think we'd be down. Well, we've gotten almost all of our property taxes year to date. So together that kind of skews the timing. So just wanted to keep the context, related to these numbers kind of in front of everyone, that timing and where we are in the fiscal year really impacts our financials. Permits the same way. You can see the comment, we're 56% of our budget has been recognized so far, whereas we're only 42% through the year. But we're heavy into the construction season now with building permits. And then the same for charges for services. We're at 60% of the annual budget already. But parks programs, that's really what's driving that so far year to date. Next slide, please. And then on the expenditure exhibit, if you go down to the other intergovernmental expense, you can see that we're 53%. We're ahead of the annualized 42. Oh, see the 33%, it should be 42% at the top there. 53%, that's because our police and fire pension payments, those are based on the property taxes. So we've gotten all of our property tax payments for the year, for the most part, other than the final ones in December. And we've pushed those out to the police and fire pension funds. So those happen early in the fiscal year and kind of drive some of that anomaly you see there related to the trend. Next slide, please. And then just kind of an FYI here, I'm having discussions with the city manager. I think I mentioned this last month that we want to start highlighting one of the enterprise funds. We may be doing that, each month, like we'll go water, so maybe just kind of rotate them, but we may do that during the committee of the whole instead of making this presentation longer. Our enterprise funds, the revenues are trending right with the annualized, you know, the 42%, water's over, right across the board there. And then been kind of using solid waste as an example of how we book encumbrances. Those are POs, the landfill, you know, we show those in expense right away. Last month, the year-to-date gain loss was $715,000. And now it's $538,933. So that's coming down as the revenues come in, but we recognize that expense all in the front end of the year related to that commitment, related to those POs. Next slide, please. And then just want to remind the community, you know, that these reports and all the budgetary reports and budget videos, et cetera, are available on the city's website. So I'll pause and see if there's any questions.
Questions for Finance Director? Okay, doesn't look like it. See, you wowed all of us. Thank you. Next item is the city manager's discussion. Deputy city manager's discussion.
Thank you, Mayor. I've just got a couple of slides for tonight. Downtown trick or treat. It's that time of year. October 28th from 5 to 8 p.m. in downtown Bloomington. Hope you all turn out. Next slide, please. A couple of things here. Outdoor farmers market season. There's one farmers market left. And from what I've heard from Melissa and Kimberly and her team is that it's been a fantastic season for farmers markets. We've had great turnout and it's just been good for our community. The last one is, or the last outdoor one will be this Saturday from 7:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. And then we've got Shop Small and Give Thanks, November 4th from 5 to 8 p.m. And that's all we have.
Okay, thank you very much. And we're going to move on to mayor's discussion. Just wanted to say by now, I think most people have heard about Councilmember Emig. So just want to encourage everyone to keep her in your thoughts and prayer, and looking forward to her coming back healthy. The other thing that I wanted to mention, just kind of relative to a comment that was made earlier about the why. I don't know if, I guess most people are probably not aware, but an announcement was made that Eastview has purchased the Y for, and will be using that for community programming. So that's, just wanted to share that. And other comments from Councilmember Crable?
Thank you. Just real brief, just something I wanted to note on the consent agenda and commend the fire department. And I think I'll be able to explain this right, but for EMS charges, the city was handling the credit card, charges, but then we're not charging the customers. But they went to a third party to do the charging, and the fire department insisted that customers not be charged a credit card fee. So just wanted to commend the fire department for that.
Okay, Councilmember Crumpler.
Thank you, Mayor. On Friday, October 14th, I had the opportunity to walk through a neighborhood in Ward 9 with Assistant Chief Bays. We knocked on numerous doors and were able to talk with residents in a really informal setting. There were more families home than I expected. They asked great questions and made really insightful comments about the area and things that the city could hopefully improve, and things that the city was doing well. And the response was really overwhelmingly positive. And I think, this community event is really allowing the Bloomington Police Department to build trust and improve rapport with residents throughout the city. I think it's a great initiative on their part.
Okay, Councilmember Bolin, and then Ward.
Yes, last week the city hosted, help me out, Melissa. Oh, the Main Street. Yeah, my brain's fried. Main Street America Conference here in Bloomington. And I attended several sessions and I learned quite a bit. And yeah, Melissa was there. If we implement some of the things that they presented, I think that it would be really very valuable. So just wanted to mention that.
Councilmember Ward.
Yeah, so nationally, this is Spiritual Care Week. And it's a week in which institutions such as healthcare institutions and hospices and nursing homes recognize chaplains who provide spiritual care and support to patients and residents of their facilities. And I want to congratulate my colleagues on that and thank them for their hard work, particularly over the pandemic. It's become apparent that people have more than just physical needs, but also spiritual and emotional needs. And chaplains have really stepped into the gap over the last few years, ministering to people of all faith traditions and no particular faith tradition, helping them to make meaning of their experiences and connect with what's sacred to them. So I congratulate my fellow chaplains on Spiritual Care Week.
Thank you. And I believe.
Yeah,
wanna
thank you,
make a
Mayor.
comment?
I just had one thing I meant to mention under public comment. We did have one person register through the online link today, William Gustafson, and to speak remotely. But unfortunately, the email bounced back for us. So I just wanted to publicly announce that, just the importance of including a valid email there for us. And if not, you can register in person or email us as well for additional instruction. But just wanted to recognize that person too. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, at this point, we don't have any executive session, so it's time to adjourn. Is there
I
a
will
motion?
make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Bullen. Is there a second?
Sure.
Okay, Councilmember Ward. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Bye.
Aye, we are adjourned. We will see you